every amount of pain there.
Something big, like a Star Wars or a Marvel.
Wouldn't have been good, but would have been like,
No!
you are at the movies with Ace.
And Martin.
And hey, you could call this our holiday special here on At the Movies with Ace and Martin, our first holiday special. The holiday special had my movie pick in our movie club, whatever you want to call it, and I couldn't think of a more opportunistic time to pick Jim Carrey's, Ron Howard's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. 25 years this year since the film was released. And yes, an adaptation of the Dr. Seuss classic that we both grew up with. But I know, unless things have changed in our latest rewatch, I know we have different opinions on that film. Kind of to start with, Nate, what is your kind of connection to this movie?
Man, this is one of those Christmas movies that I just never really got. I was never really I was never a fan of Ron Howard's take on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. To me, this story just always kind of felt a little too deviated from the message of the original. I don't know. It's just, it scared me a little bit as a kid. I just thought it was too tonally dark and like imagery wise a little too dark. This is the first time in probably 5 or 6 years I've sat down and watched the thing front to back. And it has warmed up on me a little bit. And I think probably for a lot of the reasons you appreciate the movie, I have found new appreciation for. But I still have a lot of bones to pick. This is a very mid-Christmas movie to me.
I actually, upon rewatching it, I actually didn't like it as much as I remember. I guess quality-wise, it's not as good of a movie, I guess, as I remember. But I still have a lot of fun with it. I do have a big connection with it. I don't know if I saw it in theaters, but God, it felt like from when I was born that the movie was constantly on rerun somewhere, whether that was HBO and Stars, and then it would later go to cable. And I had the CD of the movie's soundtrack, so that would always be played in the car. Yeah, we would have like a bunch of Christmas CDs, and that was
Where
one of them.
Are You Christmas?
Where Are You Christmas? I mean, gotta give that song a shout out as one of the, original Christmas songs of that time. Because really, since Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, that in that era, there isn't a lot of original Christmas songs. It was a lot of covers of the
Merry
same old.
Happy holidays.
My parents, love this movie. I mean, they're big Ron Howard fans. I mean, that's their generation. They're boomers. They grew up with Ron Howard. And so I think they always, if there's a movie attached to Ron Howard's name, they're at least checking it out. So, and I think a lot of the humor is geared towards adults. It's got some like boomer humor too, like in a good way.
Boomer humor.
Yeah. I was surprised by some of the adult humor that I didn't quite remember. I mean, it's starring Jim Carrey, and what a run this dude is on. We've talked about it before. It's probably the most insane run for an actor ever. No one is ever going to replicate this, especially now.
No, we don't have a comedic talent like Jim Carrey now, and I don't think we have even filmmakers interested in making vehicles for a comedic actor like Jim Carrey now. There's just not a platform for this. I think he's the highlight of this whole thing, but at the same time, I think he's also the biggest weakness to this film.
You know what I noticed as soon as the movie started?
What's that?
The lighting, it actually, it's a movie. I think, recently, a lot of Christmas movies go to, Netflix and stuff, and they all have the Netflix lighting, as people put it, and everything's just lit like Stranger Things now, and it sucks, but, I give this movie a lot of credit in its style, even if some of it is very ugly. I think the set's really cool. Whoville as a town, it's set up like the town has a character. I always appreciate when a movie does that, make your setting a character. And you need that if you're adapting, this story. It's different. It is a different adaptation though, because, it really makes the Whoville more of a over consumer Christmas and was more of a take on that, where you're kind of agreeing with the Grinch a lot of the times. where, yeah, it's a group of people that's just obsessed with presents and just consuming.
Yeah, and I think that that might be what I don't like about this movie, just like inherently, is I think to, I guess, make the Grinch not be a complete asshole the whole movie, which he is
Hmm.
anyway. They were like, well, what if he's got some points about how the Who's are celebrating their holiday, and it's, I think villainizing the entire Who's is a little rough. I like that the mayor's a complete dickhead. I guess it's nice that all the other Who's kind of get like a redemption arc, but it's like it detracts from what I like about the original story and what I like about Dr. Seuss's books in general is that there's like this whimsical like world where the Who's just want to celebrate. This is their big day. In the original Boris Karloff and Chuck Jones animated one from like the 60s, I really really like how it just feels like the Who's are benevolent species that just likes noisemakers and partying and celebrating their special day. It's whimsical. It feels like they're like a little Star Trek planet that's just centered around Christmas. It feels like the Christmas town in The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's like
Yeah.
this is all they got. And I like the wholesome nature of that and not like the corporate America consumerism element of it that they kind of shove into this narrative.
I could see why they went this route though, because we're coming off of the '90s. Retail malls were at its height in the '90s, and the Christmas really became just the capitalistic buying things, making as much money as possible. You want to make this. I think the runtime for the movie is an hour 44, while the animated special is 25 minutes. So you're basically doing, an hour and 20 minutes of new material. Like, what are we going to do here? And
Yeah.
honestly,
And I think some of the stuff that they add, I think is great. I actually really like the flashback stuff.
I think the third act is the weakest part of the movie when they're actually adapting the source material.
I think it is, but only because it's so stupid to have so much additional context before
Yeah.
it.
But the stupid context is entertaining. That's the thing. It's more entertaining than when you get to the adapting, because even when I think of the Grinch stealing Christmas, I still think of the animated version. I think of like those visuals. When I think of the Jim Carrey Grinch, I remember the first half of the movie way more. Once that "You're a Mean One" song stops, I don't know. I think the rest of the movie's kind of weak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more iconic scene is him crashing the Christmas Eve party and getting invited and, kind of
That's where the funniest stuff is happening.
half making an ass of himself, but then also half calling out their nonsense. But I mean, he does commit like acts of terrorism. Like, it's not like the Grinch is a hero in this movie. He burns down their Christmas tree with a mouthful of alcohol and an open flame, which is kind of badass, but also like, I don't know. I don't condone the actions of the Grinch.
Even in the beginning, when he's slashing tires and then giving the weapon to children, the Grinch's disguise in the beginning of that movie, the first Labubu, it
Definitely
looks
a
exactly
Jedi
like
Labubu.
it lit like in the face. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
He's got the Jedi cloak, and as a kid, I always thought this was a Star Wars reference since, Ron Howard has always been pretty tied to George Lucas.
When did he decide to just say fuck it, no clothes?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some interesting tidbits there where, okay, you want to do the same visuals as the cartoon, which the makeup and the eyes look spectacular. Major props to that team. Jim Carrey says Jim Carrey has been quoted many times of how uncomfortable and terrible it was. So the fact that, he was able to have those facials and still, look natural in it, I do give him a lot of props there.
It's crazy to me that they actually got, like, Central Intelligence interrogation officers to help Jim Carrey, like, cope with the 5-hour-long makeup process for this movie. Especially the context. That just sounds absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, on one hand, it does look really, really good. Like, you totally lose Jim Carrey in it, even if half of the jokes of the movie are just kind of Jim Carrey doing his own shtick. He's got a great performance here. And I we were talking about it when we were watching the movie. Me and my roommates all sat down and watched this. I don't think there's another actor who could have pulled this off.
No.
At least not in this era.
Yeah.
The only other actor who I think could have pulled this off at some point, it probably would have had to have been about 10 to 15 years earlier, would have been like Tim Curry or something.
That could have worked. Yeah. In like 1990, sure.
Yeah, or even like 1984, like
Yeah.
in between Rocky Horror and Clue. We should just have a weird 80s Grinch movie. But yeah, no, I mean, the real highlights of this whole movie, the makeup and special effects, like the hairstyling and the production design. I mean, all of those things are on fire in this movie.
Yeah.
I have a couple of like issues with the creative choices that they make with them. Like the actual architecture of the Whoville is awesome. It looks so cool. The way it's lit makes it look more like Gotham City than Whoville. Like they have all these vibrant walls and weird architecture, and it looks very Seussian and it looks great.
It
but
does,
then it's like
it does get to
awkwardly
almost
lit.
burn level.
But the costumes are crazy. I was thinking about it in a couple of those big party scenes. They have like 40, 50 people in a shot, all with special effects makeup. Like everyone's got the Who makeup. Everyone's got some crazy ass hairstyle. Like, how many makeup artists worked on this movie? It had to have been like 40 at least.
Yeah. Even if I think of things like Wicked recently with the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, where you see the off-camera pictures of those costumes, they look great, but they just can't help themselves. They want to CGI gloss over everything, and I fear if they made this movie now, it would look like that. Everybody would have this weird, uncanny CGI texture to them, and even worse, it could go AI route.
I think either way, if they made this movie in this style today, it would look like the Polar Express.
Yes. At least it was made back then. People have a connection to it, so there's no need to remake it. So at least this could kind of stay in its little time capsule for now. But
sure. I mean, Illumination did make the feature animated version.
Do you like that movie?
I think I did rewatch it this week because, you know me, I'm going to do over research if we're talking about something. I mean, I got caught up.
I saw it once, like a couple of years ago, I think on Netflix or something.
Yeah, I like elements of it. I think there's like this big Illumination asterisk where it's like it kind of gets things tonally more precise, but then it has like the cute little gotcha woodland critters and shit that don't need to be there. Like it pads out the runtime in other ways that I think are less detrimental to the overall plot and tone, but like still bullshit and I don't care about. Like I feel like if the Illumination just remade the 60s special, I think that would have been fine. Like I guess I'm glad it does its own thing, but it's not good.
Yeah. If you had to rank your 3 Grinches, I know number 1 is probably the original 1966.
Yeah, the Chuck
Grinch.
Jones, Boris Karloff one is my favorite.
Would you go Carrie or Cumberbatch for number 2?
You know, I just think the amount of effort in this movie is why I would probably go it, and like it is making its own original take on the source material, and I do respect that. I just wish it didn't feel like it needed to be a theme park attraction and could have found a new plot.
Worked out to their favor. I mean, Universal Studios makes money off of that every year now with some guy in a Grinch costume. It's kind of amazing. It becomes they at least get a dozen viral videos out of it every Christmas time, it seems, with that character.
But that also leads me to like, is that the Grinch, or is this like the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch is just Beetlejuice at Christmas time?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's
I don't know.
It's very weird because those Grinch costumes are now things that people buy and they cosplay them, and there's so many impersonators, which I think like you forget how much effort Jim Carrey puts in until you rewatch the movie because of that. I feel like we are slowly like diminishing it because stuff like that's more accessible now. It's weird because you know people that only have seen this Grinch movie and nothing else, and I'm sure I have too if I asked around. That's crazy to think. You know, yeah, we were kids when this movie came out, but we both also had parents that, you know, had us watch the original and everything else, and Rankin Bass and all these specials. It's kind of crazy. There's a whole generation of kids who just don't have that.
It is interesting to see like the cultural osmosis of this being some people's only Grinch knowledge. You know, it's interesting because there's like a companion movie to this in the Cat in the Hat movie with Mike Myers,
Yeah.
which I am a lot more sympathetic
I was
towards.
about to say that's a movie you like a lot more.
I love that movie. And I think it's because it doesn't really... It just goes full absurdist with its humor. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, this movie does actually genuinely try to have, like, a well-hearted, like, theme and, like, an important story to tell. Like, I think the messaging about, like, anti-consumer culture at Christmas time is, like, valid and is something, like, good that you could add to this story. I just think the way that it's handled is a little sloppy because, like, the Grinch also just has personal beefs and wants to be with Christine Baranski for some reason. And Christine Baranski wants to be with him. Why is there, like, a Who wife for the Grinch? What is happening?
And she not only wants to be with them, she didn't see him since they were like 10 years old, and she just waited.
Yeah, she
Like,
called
that's-
off an engagement. She's like,
Yeah.
I gotta get Grinched up. You know what they say? Once you go green, you'll feel it in your spleen.
I mean, the Whoville stuff is just so different than the cartoon, which we already talked about, but even the mayor doesn't really get redeemed at the end. Like, he kind of just takes a big fat L. I also want to figure out how they all did the feast in the Grinch's lair. I'm like, did Grinch have time to clean up before that? That place is terrible. There's shit all over the place.
I think the funniest part of that is, like, it's probably just the only set they made big enough to have a whole table. Like, since all of this is on a back lot in our soundstage and it looks awesome. It's like, well, that's probably just the biggest set they built because they had to do all those weird wide-angle cutaway jokes with a giant 12-foot tall drum monkey. Like, it's probably just the biggest soundstage they had. What are your takes on, like, the expansion of the Sidney Lou Who character? Because I have some opinions. I actually I like that character a lot in this.
Yeah, I like her journalistic integrity in the first half of this. I like that she goes and interviews people. She's kind of
she starts a podcast.
Yeah, she's treating it like it's an episode of Cryptic Connection. That she has this newspaper of the Grinch, and going around and talking about people. And that actress just recently did a cover of Where Are You Christmas? Pretty solid rock cover of the song to celebrate 25 years. I always kind of had a connection with this character because we were around the same age as her, so it kind of like felt like I was for a couple of years there. I would watch this movie in her eyes. So yeah, I think she's the true heart of this movie. The movie doesn't work at all without her.
Because they commit so much more of the movie to her, and I wish they committed just even a little bit more. Like, if they held off on us having a scene with her and the Grinch by, like, 20 minutes, I think a lot of my pacing issues with this movie would kind of fall by the wayside. Because, like, I like that she gets so motivated to figure out what, like, really happened to the Grinch and include him in on things. But I think, like, the reluctancy of Grinch going to the party and him getting the nomination to begin with as, like, the cheermeister or whatever, I think all of that conflict really would have been better to just be had in people not answering her questions. Like, if they just delayed the amount of time that the Grinch spends in Whoville before he steals from them all, I think this movie would work a lot better. It would still look ugly as sin, but it would it would feel a little bit more balanced, because I agree, by the time you get to the climax of this movie where they're just doing How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it's like, okay, like, we know the ending's coming, gotta wrap it up. Oh, cool, here's like a whole Universal theme park roller coaster idea, like, we gotta go down the mountain with CGI. When they lean into the special, like, the visual effects of this movie, you could tell that, like, ILM was not behind this. Like, the visual effects look like a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, it is early 2000s CGI. Yeah. It was weird in the first place that Whoville was all for nominating him in the first place. If they had a scene where, like, I know he helps Cindy Lou Who in the beginning, but if they had a scene of him maybe helping somebody else in a more public sense, excuse me, but then he gets mad and maybe runs off and then he gets the nomination, it just felt that, yeah, you're right, where it just feels very rush. Doesn't really make sense script wise either. But you also get like the funniest sequence of the movie is when he gets nominated and he sees his two moms, I guess. And that shot where the baby's like in the tree, but then they're showing the party and everybody's putting their keys in the jar. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, what the fuck? I had to explain what a key party was to my roommate.
A crazy thing. I forgot all about that. I'm watching, I'm like, holy hell, that was in there?
In a PG rated movie.
Like, crazy. I feel like, yeah, the demographic for this was, of course it catered to us, but it really leaned into like the adults who grew up with, the Grinch cartoon, those like 30 to 40-year-olds. Like it was really, it knew what it had to do in order to keep that audience intrigued too, and it's paid off. It's replayed. There's jokes that's constantly quoted in that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the humor is very like early 2000s, where there's like pop culture references and like making fun of movie tropes. There's the really funny scene where the Grinch does his Ron Howard impression when he puts on the director's hat. Like,
Great scene.
There's definitely some like, there's some good stuff in there, but it is like a very early 2000s, late 90s like comedy thing.
It's pre-Shrek, like, but it kind of feels like Shrek in that humor.
It's weird too because like it's aged pretty good. Like my nephews love this version of the movie.
Good and TikTok like, movie. Like little scenes from the movie probably do really well on TikTok.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of memes and reaction gifs around this time of year from the film. I don't know. Maybe I'm the Grinch for this movie. Like I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't really fuck with this.
It seems to get more love. This was the first time I watched it and it just kind of went down for me. I just noticed how rushed things were and how just some of the script was really weird, but it's a lot to juggle because I don't want the movie to be longer. But the movie kind of runs into a wall when it realizes, like, oh, we have to adapt the How the Grinch Stole Christmas in the third act, and it just feels like the movie kind of halts. Where I think Ron Howard or whoever wrote it did have an idea of this Grinch versus consumerism, but then that just kind of stops because you have to.
Where does this fall in your like Jim Carrey power rankings? Like if we're making a tier list someday, do you think this is an A tier? Do you think this is an S tier? Where would you put it?
I think it could be at the top of B or at the end of A. I think it's right there with like the Riddler, where it's an iconic role, but in a in a weak movie. Like it's not the greatest movie in the world, but you really remember Jim Carrey's performance in both of those movies.
You can tell that there was days on set for this movie where, like, I don't think anyone really had a lot of faith in the script that they were making. Like, I think Ron Howard's if I could describe anything about Ron Howard, it's that he's a competent director. So, like, I think he got the script and was like, okay, like, let's punch it up a bit. And, we'll probably end up cutting this stuff, but, like, this stuff we gotta keep, made a lined version of it where he's like, we're gonna actually shoot most of this. But then, like, you can just tell all over this movie that there are scenes where they're like, well, we've got Jim Carrey flying in and we're in the Grinch cave. What do we want to do? And then he's like, Jim, just do your thing. Let's just roll the cameras and see if this makes the cut. Like, and I think that's like really upsetting because like he spent 5 hours in a chair to like improvise for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all right, great. We got something. Like, that'll be funny. We'll find a place for that in the edit. And like, that just doesn't like land for me. Like this movie doesn't need to be like as long as it is. I think if this movie was like 25 minutes shorter, I mean, I know that's short for a theatrically released holiday movie, but like it's for kids. At the end of the day, this is a kid's movie or a family movie. I think an 85-minute runtime's fine. You can play it on ads and fill a 2-hour block. Like, I don't know. I don't know why this movie's as long as it is.
When I was a kid, I thought this movie was long. Like, I remember we'd watch it in school, and it would get to the part where the Grinch is like committing acts of terrorism and lighting the tree on fire, and then that'd be it. Then we're going home because by that point it's already been more than an hour. we never could finish the movie in a classroom or anything.
Yeah, and I guess there's like a good anti-bullying message in there at that point, so that's all you really need to see from school.
You know, you finish it with that, you just go, hell yeah, and you go home. It sounds...
Yeah, sounds good. Maybe it's the better version of the movie. They just end it before he steals Christmas. It's just called The Grinch's Christmas. That'd be funny. There's like an alternate ending where it just ends after the Christmas party and he burns down the thing and then he's just like hung over the next day from all the like food he had to eat and like the contest food he had to judge.
That's the Grinch's Joker. That's the Todd Phillips Grinch.
Okay. Since you bring it up, what is The Grinch 2? Pitch a sequel to this movie that takes place 25 years later. I dare you.
Oh man, 25 years later, it's got to be
like
around
a sequel
Christmas.
The Grinch.
Oh,
Doesn't
man.
have to be around Christmas.
We got to have a baby Grinch. We got to sell toys. So there's
right.
definitely a baby Grinch running around. I feel like the mayor's got to get revenge. He's got to be the ultimate antagonist. The Grinch ruined this guy's life. Don't get me wrong, the mayor is a sleazeball, but I feel like it's like a Shrek the Third situation where Prince Charming's got to get his revenge, much like the mayor has to.
How is the Grinch and Christine Baranski's marriage going? Is the Grinch kid hers?
Yeah, I think it's hers. Okay. You can even go like the daughter route. Maybe she wants to leave Whoville. Maybe we're talking like, you know, like a college level type of daughter. Maybe she's trying to
She wants to go to Shiz University.
Yeah, and maybe it's more of a take on that. I don't know how the mayor plays it. So okay, if we don't go the Christmas route, what if it's like Easter and like there's a big battle in Whoville and they're throwing eggs and there's like exploding eggs going all around and there's like a Whoville civil war going on.
I think that's cool. I like that.
Because I think they mentioned it in one of the opening lines where like, oh, they named like other holidays they celebrate and Easter was one of them.
Yeah, Arbor Day, Easter. Mm-hmm. Well, I do not want to know what the Passion looks like at a Who church. They probably take that shit way too seriously.
Oh, it's probably like 9 hours long.
They're actually crucifying someone. Who.
I don't know where Cindy Lou plays into that, because I'm sure you can have the actress come back.
Yeah, in the Lega sequel, I think she's got to be a pivotal character for sure.
Yeah, I feel like she's got to pursue her journalistic, career as well.
Oh, maybe she's trying to like get a ceasefire for the egg war. Like she's on the front lines, like it's like Civil War. She's like a photojournalist.
Does it end with Michael Myers' Cat in the Hat walking in and saying, "Grinch, we need you"?
Grinch has ripped the head off of the Easter Bunny and there's blood and guts everywhere. And then through a fucking portal, Cat in the Hat, Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat says, "I'm putting together a team."
Lorax is behind him.
If video game movies don't sell, this is the next phase of Hollywood.
What would you give How the Grinch Stole Christmas on Letterboxd?
After this watch, I think I had it at a 1.5, and I think that was maybe a little harsh. I think I'm giving this a solid 2.5. This is a 5 out of 10 movie. It's a bit of a mixed bag. The things that work quite well. I love, like I said, the costumes and the makeup cannot get enough love here. I just wish a little bit more care was put into the writing. I think there's decent performances throughout this, specifically with the Grinch and Sidney Lou Who. And yeah, I mean, it's a funny movie. It's a good one to throw in the holiday rotation. I think tonally there's some other movies similar to this that are kind of Christmas but a little edgy that I like more. Notably ones with fantasy elements. I would say like I would rather watch Bill Murray's Scrooged than this. I like Scrooged a lot.
Underrated as hell.
And I mean, yeah, I don't know. This one's just not for me, and I am happy that it's for the masses. But I'm not gonna give this much more than a 2.5.
I gave it a 3.5. I wouldn't say I'm a Jim Carrey Grinch head. I do recognize this isn't the greatest movie in the world, but I will always have a fondness over it. Much like the other adaptation of the Grinch, though, it's just another connection I have. Yeah, if somebody else does find that they love it, I mean, there are worse things to like. This is far from it. To continue this holiday special, we decided to do a Mount Rushmore of what we think is the greatest on-screen Santa Clauses, I think we could say.
Yep, on screen. All of mine are from films, but not all of the films are theatrically released.
I was about to say, yeah, I think that's what I went with here. You might all think this is simple, but trust me, this could get a little chaotic. And what we'll do is we'll go back and forth, name our top four, and then at the end we will try to do a joint top four Mount Rushmore of Santa Clauses. I'll let you go first, Nate. Who do you want to shout out first?
Yeah, the first Santa Claus on this list, I think, is the definitive one. I will have a fight to the death to preserve this one on the Mount Rushmore somewhere. And that is Edmund Green's Academy Award winning performance as Kris Kringle in the 1947 version of Miracle on 34th Street. I think this character gets everything right about Santa Claus in a contemporary setting. I think it sets a lot of the groundwork for some of the Santa mythos. And I think it's not too flashy. I think the few moments we see him in full Santa attire are the best scenes of the movie. This movie plays the hits. It's old-fashioned in a great kind of, a classic Americana way. He's got the anti-consumerism elements in this movie. It's wild. I think that this is seriously a 5 out of 5 performance, and is the image of Santa that I have in my head when I close my eyes on Christmas Eve and think about who's climbing up on my roof.
Yeah, it actually didn't make my Mount Rushmore, but I totally agree. I figured it was gonna make on yours, so I would not be surprised if it made it there. That's actually not who I thought you were gonna say, because the first person I want to shout out is the Santa Claus in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the Rankin Bass special. This is my headcanon origin of Santa Claus, my favorite Rankin Bass special. This Santa is just a straight up wholesome king. He just wants to give toys to people after Burgermeister banned them because he slipped on one and got embarrassed. Yeah, I love the origin of it, and it's such a cute little story, and it just, when I think of, Santa Claus, that is what I think of pretty much when I'm thinking of, on-screen media.
I totally agree. He's my number 2. I think that it's a great pick. It has to be on the Mount Rushmore. And I think what you're saying about the lore and like the history behind Santa, the answers that this movie come up with are so fun, and it feels almost like childlike reasons why Santa exists. And I like that a lot. I really like him being raised by elves. I really I love the whole lore. I'm not like super partial to like Mickey Rooney's voice acting or like the actual performance of it. I just think the iconography is incredible.
Yeah.
It's a perfect depiction of Santa Claus, and is definitely the highlight of all of the Rankin Bass specials. I mean, I'm sorry, Rudolph. I'm sorry, Frosty, but this guy's mopping the floor with y'all.
Yeah. No, I agree. So if you already had him on there, I guess I'll go next and shout out another one. And let me go with my other safe one. I went with Tim Allen's Santa Claus from the Santa Claus, a Christmas classic. I could say many jokes about Tim Allen right now in general, but I remember watching this at a very young age. The plot is just so ridiculous. Somebody pointed this out on an Instagram reel. No elves mourned the Santa Claus before Tim Allen. Like, that guy croaked, and then it was just next man up, like it was a quarterback for an NFL team. That Santa Claus before Tim Allen must have been an awful person if no elves are even shedding a tear over his death.
It's kind of like a pope, right? Like the only way to get a new pope is by one dying, except for that one who stepped down like not that long ago. But yeah, once you have a bad pope or a bad Santa, you're kind of stuck with him until he's gone. And so I think these elves were silently suffering. And not to get too far down the rabbit hole of that conspiracy theory that the old Santa was a dickhead, there's a Judge Reinhold monologue about why he stopped believing in Santa because he didn't get a gift for his like 6th birthday or something.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, damn, maybe the last Santa really like ruined the idea of Santa for the entire generation before. He was really letting everyone down.
I really like that theory, actually. It makes the rest of that universe make a lot more sense, actually. I like Tim Allen's performance. There's a lot of funny visuals as the beard grows and he gets the belly and stuff. It's a cute movie that I've always had sentimental value towards.
I have a conflict with this, and I think it's because there's multiple movies with Tim Allen playing Santa
Yeah.
Claus. I feel like Scott is the character's name. I feel like we never fully lose Scott. There's not a moment where he's the Santa Claus that I know and love. He's dealing with the drama of his kids or in his in-laws. This is like Meet the Fockers Santa. I'm not here for that. I think this guy sucks. I think it's bad that they made a single dad or like a divorced dad become Santa Claus.
I think it's fine to add relatability to Santa. You know, Santa Claus canonically has always been married. No marriage is perfect. We know that. I don't mind making Santa Claus a little more down to earth and relatable. It brings up funny humor too. I like in the third one, the in-laws, they make them go to sleep and then they think they're in Canada when they're at the North Pole.
That is a good bit. I mean, I like the movies just fine. This isn't like what I think of.
It's a
when
good
I
point.
Think of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I think of like, oh, this is a funny Tim Allen comedy where he plays Santa, and I have a very similar one on this list. So I'm not being too judgy here. But
wait till you hear the other two.
Belongs.
That was a safe
boy.
one for me.
Oh God, I can't believe this made it over your Miracle on 34th Street Santas. I mean, I guess you don't have Richard Attenborough in the remake from the 90s.
No, I don't. I was very confident that you were gonna at least have one of the Santas from Miracle, so I figured I wouldn't bother. But I wanted to make sure Rankin Bass got picked by both of us as the George Washington, I guess you could say.
Fair enough. My next one is Klaus from the Netflix animated movie Klaus. I have historically sang this film's praises, quietly released in December of 2019, and I think it's great. I think the voice cast is awesome, and it does a similar thing to Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where it has this kind of like old school like origin story for Santa. But what I like about this is he's not the catalyst and he's not the main character. He's a supporting character. And because of that, we see a lot of the humanity and relatability through Jason Schwartzman's character, who's slipping me at the moment, who's like this mail delivery guy who gets like the worst route on the post office, and he meets this estranged toy maker in the middle of the woods on this small, decrepit island with two battling factions, and he learns through Klaus that, you know, bringing people together is more important than dividing them, and I think at Christmas time 2019 that was a really important message, and I wish more people saw this movie. That being said,
do you think it's gotten more relevance, or has it been lost in the shuffle?
No, I think this movie's totally fallen off the shuffle. I think every year, every other year since then, someone's dropped like a decent video essay or like an article about, oh, this underrated Christmas movie that's on Netflix, but like I don't think people really come back to this one. I see more love for Kurt Russell and the Christmas Chronicles 1 and 2, directed by Chris Columbus.
Which I saw are getting like theatrically released and people are going to see them. Like, I have no connection to those movies. Those movies completely miss me.
I've seen them both. They're kind of ass. Like, they're just worse versions of the Tim Allen Santa Clauses, in my opinion. And their depiction of the elves are like gremlins that are mogwai that don't turn into gremlins, but they behave like them. So they're these little like squirrel evil things, and I fucking can't stand them. So I don't know. If Netflix has a better Santa Claus movie, I wish more people would see it. There's a lot of great comedic voice actors in here. I think it's one of the last roles that Norm Macdonald ever had. Like there's a lot to love in this special, but I think Klaus, played by J.K. Simmons, is really cool. He's this stoic, quiet man of the woods who teaches peace, and he eventually finds his elves at the end, which I think is really cool. I would watch a second one of these. Like I really think it is a fun like prequel to Santa Claus is Coming to Town in a sort of way.
This is not the last time J.K. Simmons would play Santa Claus. We don't have Red One on the Mount Rushmore.
And I think he actually also plays Santa Claus in Arthur Christmas. Unless I'm mistaken. I think he's played Santa like 3 times.
You can have a trilogy of Christmas movies if you just want J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus.
Do you have Alec Baldwin's Father Christmas from Rise of the Guardians, a movie that you once said is Alden bait?
I don't have that, but I do have a character named Father Christmas on my Mount Rushmore. I got Father Christmas from the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Hear me out.
Okay. Okay.
The movie as a whole, kind of an underrated winter movie, very cozy, very nice. It's a cute little fantasy film. But that Father Christmas, because of the impact he made in that one scene, gave them weapons that ultimately helped them win a war against an evil witch. Kind of insane. For one scene, he's kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi to like their Luke Skywalker, and it's very. I like how old school it is. I like that he is called Father Christmas, and the costume's really nice actually, and I kind of like that he kind of just appears. It feels very fantasy while you're going on a quest and you're meeting these kind of side characters.
I haven't rewatched that movie in a while, and I'm looking forward to the Greta Gerwig interpretation of that story when that hits theaters in 2031.
I thought it was going to be a show, but now that I've learned it's like a fully theatrical movie, I'm down.
I forget exactly where this happens in the plot, but doesn't he show up like right after Aslan dies or gets like sacrificed by the witch before he returns? So like the characters are at their low point.
Yeah, I think it's around that time because everything's starting to melt, I believe. Like the Wicked Witch is the Wicked Witch. It's still wicked brained. The Queen is losing her powers, and I think he comes in right before that. Yeah, that final battle. Just a very cool little scene, and it's kind of the perfect like icing on the cake where you could make a claim that Narnia is a Christmas movie. Like literally, Santa Claus is in it, and yeah. I am very curious of what Greta Gerwig will do with it next.
Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. I like that pull. He's not a big part of the movie, but I think he does. It's great in that scene. Yeah, I like that. I like that nomination. All right, I've got one last one. I've got Santa Claus from the movie Fred Claus, played by Paul Giamatti.
Oh.
Now, this is not a Christmas movie with a lot of love. It's a Christmas movie with a lot of baggage because Kevin Spacey plays the villain.
That could still work.
I really, really, really like Paul Giamatti's performance as Santa in this movie because both Santa and his brother Fred are like kind of immortal creatures, but Fred's just a like inevitable fuck up. Like it's Vince Vaughn. He's been living in New York for like 30 years, or my bad, 300 years, and these characters like age like really slowly. His brother's Santa Claus, so he's got big shoes to fill. He never feels like he's cool enough to be his big brother. And then like there are like real life kind of baggage things where he's like getting older. He doesn't have an heir to be the next Santa. He's kind of out of shape and is having health issues and is fatigued. There's a lot of like interesting elements that I think the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies bring up to Santa, but I like that this one's routed in fantasy, and it's like, no, this has been the same Santa the entire time people have known of Santa Claus. And I think it's fun. I don't know. It's fun to see like an angry, pissed off Santa that's actually canonically Santa. And Paul Giamatti like rides that threshold of being like the like merry, jolly, happy-go-lucky guy, and then a pissed off older brother. And I can relate to that a lot. Especially around the holidays.
Just it's kind of similar to the Tim Allen thing where it brings up that relatability. Like, and in that one you're dealing with, siblings. And no, that's a good pull. I know Paul Giamatti's your boy. And,
he's my goat. He's my ride or die. Ever since Big Fat Liar, shout out to Paul Giamatti.
My last one, I went with Billy Bob Thornton's Bad Santa. Because how can you not?
I was thinking about it.
How can you not mention it? You get to see Santa's dark side. I feel like those movies take on a certain generation. I have no idea how, the Bad Santa movies will age, but I get a kick out of at least the original. Yeah, once again, it's like, it's a Santa with flaws. And sometimes during the holidays, sometimes those are people's biggest crash outs, and they have a Bad Santa moment. So I think to recognize people with those crash outs, we see you. We see you on those drunk tirades, too much eggnog. Billy Bob Thornton, perfect casting. It really was for the time as well.
It's a really cynical movie, and I really like it. I think it's one of the funniest Christmas movies. But he's not canonically Santa Claus.
Yeah.
He's just an alcoholic mall Santa who gets fired for being a mall Santa in his first scene. Then he's just an alcoholic.
Hey, mall Santas are very important For those children, that is Santa Claus. And this is a very bad example of a mall Santa Claus. But they should be recognized for the little work they do. I salute you, mall Santa Clauses. Are there still mall Santa Clauses?
Are there still malls? I mean, I think so.
I
What if they... I mean, you know what they've been doing, actually? I saw this a lot this year on Instagram. They've been doing, like, Santas at, like, Petco for your dogs. Because we live in such a fucked timeline that people don't even have kids anymore to bring to Santa. We've got animals. Humans need to take care of something, and we're taking care of fucking pets. It's the most millennial shit I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's depressing, actually.
I mean, I remember back in the day at, like, my Walgreens, we had a Santa there. Like, I guess that kind of makes sense because they have a photography thing there. You know, you can develop the photos right then and there.
I remember, I'm sure it's still like this, the Macy's in Midtown in New York, the line for that Santa Claus, like, goes sometimes through the whole building. Like, it's a big deal to get your photo.
It's like a 7-floor Macy's.
Oh my God. And it's like 7 floors, but I'm still so claustrophobic in there.
Oh yeah, it's a big store, but it's like full. Like I'm like, I didn't even know Macy's sold. Like sleds, like toboggans.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck?
I remember I got lost in an aisle that was just coats, and I was like a child at the time, and I just remember like coats just being in my face as I'm walking around looking for my parents.
I'm glad that I didn't have any New York Christmases. Right around the time Eyes Wide Shut was coming out.
I have a couple of them. I saw the Rockettes
nice.
At Radio City a couple of times. That was fun. Yeah, I got a couple of New York Christmas memories. One time I just so happened to be in the city during a blizzard, and I'm like 8 years old, and that's like the greatest fucking thing to happen.
I love when the city gets quiet from like a huge snowstorm, and like if it's not too bad, you can still like walk around and stuff, and it's a really kind of magical experience.
We got to put together this group Mount Rushmore. I think we both agree Santa Claus coming to town has to be on this Mount Rushmore, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not put... You made a really good case for Miracle.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine him not being there. He's the only person to win an Academy Award for playing Santa Claus. The whole movie is centered around him having to prove in a court of law that he is indeed Santa Claus. And I think he sold the world for decades down the line that Santa Claus could be real. And I love that. I like Richard Attenborough in Miracle on 34th Street. You know, he's the guy who plays Dr. Hammond in Jurassic Park. I think he does a very, very good job in that.
Is that the Matilda girl one?
That's the Matilda girl one, and I think that's where things start to crumble for me. It's just a little too ornery, and I know everything little girl performance that I'm like, get out of here. I don't know, go back to using the Force or whatever.
But yeah, I know. I'd say let's put him on the list. I feel like those two are easy, and then it kind of gets kind of crazy.
It gets a little weird.
Yeah.
I will say two of yours I was heavily debating about putting on my list. I was really thinking about putting the Tim Allen one there, and I thought about it quite a bit, and I was like, no. And then I thought about putting Bad Santa there, and I was like, no. And so I think I kind of like split the middle and went Fred Claus, Santa Claus.
Yeah.
But if you're split in the middle, like it's not something I feel that strongly in. It was the last one I put on here.
It'd be funnier to put Bad Santa on it to recognize the mall Santas, as I just made a case for. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that because it'd just be a funny visual.
Yeah, I'm down. Billy Bob Thornton, congrats, you made it along Mickey Rooney and Edmund Green.
I don't know what to put for the last one.
I'd like your take for Father Christmas. I just don't think he has enough like.
It's just not strong enough.
Really. Yeah, I don't know. Him and Klaus, which is the one that I have, I think is like a really like sympathetic and like interesting character, and like they feel very tonally hand in hand because they are both kind of mystical creatures of sorts, and a fantasy element to them that is cool. I'm always going to advocate for more people to see the movie Klaus, but I think putting that take of Santa Claus, which is kind of like a precursor to Santa Claus on the Mount Rushmore, is a bit of a stretch.
We do have Billy Bob Thornton, though. That's
we do.
That is the bigger stretch.
You want to put the Tim Allen Santa Claus on there? I'm sure people. People who like Ron Howard's Grinch probably like that take of Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, definitely people around our age grew up on those movies. That feels like the safe pick, and since we already agreed on Bad Santa, maybe it is best we do the safer pick. I think Bad Santa was our wild card pick here.
That's fair. I like that.
It's a good visual, though. I think a lot of people actually agree with it just based on people they enjoy watching.
It's interesting because, like, Santa is such, like, a, well-known character in pop culture, but when I was trying to do research, and I'm like, I've got to be forgetting one, there was, like, most of the lists that I was seeing online were like, oh, you can't forget about Santa Claus from the 1981 Santa Claus the movie made by Richard Appapucci or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not putting that. No one's seen that. And then it's like, with Santa Claus versus the Martians from the 1967, fucking B movie. It's like, no.
I couldn't believe, how many Santa Clauses I didn't have a big connection with. Like, I'm like, well, I feel like I had a bigger case for something like Narnia, because at least for that movie, I have, like, a childhood connection to that movie. And, like, it's actually really weird how little on-screen Santa Clauses that are not only, like, revered from a critical standpoint, aside from the Miracle movies, and that I just don't have a big connection with. Santa Claus on his own, I guess, is just the connection alone. I guess you don't really need a movie or a specific media to get that connection if you had, like, parents who wanted to celebrate Christmas with you and always had Santa Claus in your childhood.
Yeah, and I think it speaks volumes to the Santa Clauses that we do have on here, whether it's the ones from Miracle on 34th Street or Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Like, I think there's a couple of really solid ones that kind of planted the footwork for other Santas to kind of come and be in a movie and be like an archetype or a background character. And, like the Polar Express one comes to mind. And another one that also leans a lot on the Rankin Bass stylings, at least, is I'm sure people in the comments, whenever we have an audience, will say, well, where's Ed Asner in Elf? And I think that's one that I think a lot of people like quite a bit that didn't quite make the list.
The Christmas movies in general, and I always talk about this, where Hallmark movies have oversaturated it so much where why would you even make a Christmas movie if you're a major studio? So I think these movies are going to just keep living on because I don't see a culturally significant, big budget, stylistically, different Christmas movie happening anytime soon. Like,
I think they tried, like, last year with Red One.
That was a really weird attempt to get people back in the theater for a Christmas movie.
I think the year before that or the year before that, we had Deadly Night with Lily Allen's ex-husband.
There's that, and none of them have any staying power. But man, there's millions of people who click on that Hallmark channel.
Well, I think Christmas movies in general kind of have a longevity. I remember a couple of years ago, the Bad Moms movie got a sequel, and it was a Christmas one. And Daddy's Home got a sequel, and it was a Christmas one. And then now those movies get way more play because there's like an annual reason to rewatch them than the original failed comedy counterparts.
I did see The Night Before hit Netflix this month, so I'm sure that's going to get a little more traction than usual this year.
That's one you love a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to check that out this holiday season. I haven't seen that one since it came out in theaters.
Yeah, I just revisited with some friends since it was on Netflix, and it's still a good time. Some of it's, aged a little bit. It is that mid-2010s humor, as in Seth Rogen's there. But,
well, I mean, they do play Runaways on the big piano at FAO Schwartz.
That's true.
So, shout-outs to Kanye. Happy Christmas.
But,
does he have beef with that Abrahamic religion yet?
I completely lost track of what I wanted to close out with.
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays indeed.
Here's a question for the viewer at home and for you, Ace. Do you have any holiday traditions that you do every year around this time? Anything noteworthy that stands out?
Yeah, coming from a very Polish family, we have a tradition every Christmas Eve that involves fasting, where we can't eat meat the whole day, and then the meal is very Polish. Fish, pierogies. We listen to Polish Christmas music in Polish. And that's been handed down now 4 generations in my family, at least when my great grandparents immigrated to the States. And I think it's beautiful. My family doesn't have a lot of traditions. That's like the one thing we have. So Christmas Eve, I think, will always just have that special place. Like, it would feel really weird if I am not at my aunt's or grandmother's house for Christmas Eve. Like, that's like the one thing all year that I want to do because of that connection. Because a lot of that's getting lost. I mean, I don't know another family that does something like that that's so deep in their roots, at least like in my social circle. I know it still happens, and I think that's great, but I don't know. It just seems stuff like that you got to hold on to a little bit more.
Yeah, my ex, her grandmother used to always host that kind of kind of traditional like Slavic Thanksgiving where you do the Roman Catholic or Orthodox tradition of doing like they call it a fast, but I mean you're eating pierogies and you're eating like stuffed cabbage, like it's not, you're just not eating meat.
Yeah, literally, it's the only thing is no meat.
Yeah, and I remember like a couple of years in, everyone started bringing pizzas and beer as well, and then at that point, you're like, are we even fasting? Like,
oh yeah,
I'm more full than I am on Christmas.
And oh my god, and then at midnight, I'm cutting up like pepperoni and cheese and stuff from the fridge, like I am ready to devour.
Every few years, me and my family, whenever we all get together, my siblings and my parents, we have a couple of like games that we'll play. One of them is we try to live up to the Festivus tradition, so we'll do the airing of grievances and the feats of strength. And the feats of strength have dabbled from doing an egg race, holding an egg in a spoon in your mouth, to trying to unwrap a Christmas present that has been wrapped up like a couple dozen times with oven mitts on. So those are pretty fun games.
Shout out to my sister Grace, who's going to Las Vegas for Christmas this year.
Wow.
Yeah, she could go fuck
just
herself.
Alone?
But no, with her boyfriend and his family. So Christmas with the in-laws, but in Las Vegas. Like,
I can't imagine doing that in Vegas.
She of course still wanted to spend Christmas Eve with the family, so she's flying out like that morning.
She's flying out Christmas morning to Las Vegas?
Yeah. Like,
look, if there's ever a flight that needs to be rerouted, it's that one.
They're crazy, but damn, hard to turn down a Vegas trip.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
especially at that age. Let her have fun.
I'm gonna spend Christmas Day with the parents and my best friend. It's gonna be a good time.
Oh, I can't wait to see you. No, I'm just kidding. I'll see you at New Year's, buddy.
As we gear towards the holidays, next we'll be covering Avatar. Fire and Ash. Well, so do you have to recommend a movie now then, according to our schedule?
I guess I do.
Yeah, I do so.
Indeed have to recommend a movie. And I am recommending, mostly because I want to rewatch it, because I haven't seen it since theaters, Robert Eggers' movie The Northman. Came out between The Lighthouse, and it came out, I want to say 2021, 2022?
I believe. The only Robert Eggers movie I haven't seen. That's perfect. It's been on my watch list forever.
Great. That's how we're going to be, I guess, sending off the new year. And, yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. I plan on making my roommates all watch it here in the near future, so it lined up perfectly.
It'll be fun talking about Robert Eggers in general, because Nosferatu was my movie of the year last year for 2024. That was my number one when I made the list, my own personal list. But, yeah. As we go into January, we'll probably have a best of the year as well. We got some good-ass content coming your way soon.
Yeah, we do, and we're going into awards season, and I have a whole plan for an award show for us. Plus, we'll be looking at some Oscar Best Picture winners of the last couple decades, all in the new year. So thank you for watching, and, I don't know, being a part of our rough and tough startup here as we are making content together.
And it's been a lot of fun to do these for the last 3 months, and I'm excited for what the new year has in store for us here on the pod.
Big things in store. This is just us wetting the whistle. We haven't gone full podcast mode yet.
Exactly.
There'll be clips for every episode in 2026. Nate's not going to sleep. He's editing.
Thank you guys for watching or listening. Still no outro. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.